Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of VM Nation. I love you guys and I appreciate you with all my heart. Guys, if you're like me and been through a lot of heartbreak, caused a lot of heartbreak also, we're going to be talking about how to heal from a broken heart. And my new friend, truly amazing, one of the best authors I've seen. Her podcast is fire. If her numbers have gone up, it's because I've watched every episode at least twice. So, and she's doing it all and she's changing lives. So, welcome to the show. I'm so grateful that we finally got a chance to get together.
Yes, thank you, Richard. Oh, your words just humble me. Thank you.
So, before I forget, because I do have a traumatic brain injury, and if I don't ask the question, I will forget. What is your definition of resiliency?
It's overcoming. It's it's a warrior attitude. It's being able to move forward no matter what has happened in your life. It's it's seeing the other side in bright lights.
And I love that. And so, guys, we're going to talk on some great subjects, but some of this stuff is going to get a little bit touchy because recovery is touchy. Recovery is a hard subject to talk about because a lot of people, especially nowadays, they all got the great filters on. They're all trying to be something that they're not. And most people in recovery hurt people because they were hurt and they don't want to hurt anymore. So we're going to be talking about today. So give us a quick down and dirty about who you are, where did you come from, and how did you become the force that you are today?
Mm. Well, I am Tonni Lee Larson, and that is my it was a married name, but I am truly Tonni Lee Milliken. I was born to two amazing parents that gave me my heritage of my Christian belief, and I am so very, very thankful for that. I was conceived out of wedlock. My mom chose to marry my dad and to give birth to me, and so I am forever grateful for that. Though I did not have a great relationship with my mom, and it's all okay. And that's kind of where the story began, because of the fact that I don't think I ever felt like my mom was my mom in a sense. She was just there, but she, kind of took and was to the other children a little bit more. I felt like the black sheep, and that's okay. And it started off at the age of 5 of being molested by a family member. Then you get the wrong concept about what your body is. It's something that isn't sacred anymore. That led to marrying 2 husbands that were sex addicts. And that's kind of where the journey of all of this began, because when I divorced the second husband, I sought out help for me because I had been so traumatically hurt. So I found Dr. Doug Weiss in Colorado Springs at Heart to Heart Counseling. He does the 12 steps for anyone that has been married to, is married to, been abused or whatever. And he does it with the 12 steps. And I tell you what, those 12 steps saved my life. And that's how this all began.
I'm one of the only shows that I have a lot of females come on. And one of my best friends, her name is Annette Wittenberger. She has a podcast called The Truth Behind We Hide Behind. I want to get you on her show.
Oh.
And she was molested as a child. And something that, I was abused, but not that way. But when a child is molested or abused, if the child is normally quiet and all of a sudden they become outgoing, or the opposite, if they're outgoing and all of a sudden they become introverted, something's probably going on. So Can you give us some of the signs that you've seen from people you've talked to? So if there's a parent out there, what are some of the things they should be watching for and looking for and staying vigilant?
Well, sure, because of the fact that if a child has been hurt, a lot of times they will become very, very angry. So, some kids, we wonder, like, why in the world are they acting this way? Oh, they're just being spoiled, or something like that. No, if a child all of a sudden is acting very angry, they're hitting other people, they're being mean to their siblings, they're being married, mean to their parents or something like that, they're getting in trouble at school, that should be a red flag to us. It really, really should. Or like you said, this kid's been outgoing, and he's very friendly with people, and he's a good kid, never really doing anything wrong at home, not getting in trouble at home or anything like that. And then all of a sudden they're quiet. They want to just go stay in their room, or they don't want to hang out with friends or something. That's another red flag. It really, really is. And, I we've not made more awareness to that. Why are we not paying more attention to the kids' behaviors? I used to do CASA, and so I would see those sort of things in the children, and then you'd have to go and say something, to your leader or to social services or something. There's something not okay here. Something's going on because of their behavior or their demeanor, their words, something. And so you're right, Richard. There's something. For me, I started acting out. Yeah, I was mean to my siblings. I was hurt. I was angry.
Okay, so because like I said, I came from an abused household, but my solace was books
Mm,
because and I've read over 6,000 books now, and I'm a ninth grade dropout, but I think I can converse with anybody because of that. But for me, I would get in the bathtub, fill the bathtub up, and just put my ears below the water so I couldn't hear the screaming. But I can read the books, and I can go anywhere I wanted in the world. That's what saved my life was books and knowledge. So,
wow.
what was your solace after being hurt?
I think it was that I just became a caregiver. Um, Being mean to my siblings, but then too, my dad got sick, and so I had to kind of like become the leader in a way. I felt that I had to do the stuff that my dad couldn't do. I had to help my mom out. And so for me, I think that that's what I did. I was always taking care of the little ones, my cousins or whatever. For me, then I was giving out. So that's just how I took care of it all. But then as I got older as a teenager and stuff, then that's when I started acting out the same way. I mean, your body was, nothing to honor. So you just gave it away.
Okay, so then, like I said, let's talk now. We're gonna get this is real talk. This is like being at a meeting. I got my coffee and everything, except it's good coffee. Uh, but one thing, I had two practice marriages. Now I'm married to my bride, 13 years now,
Wow.
and I realized that I've been in a lot of relationships, and I've been fired from a lot of jobs, and I was always the common denominator. So I eventually had to finally look at myself like Grant Cardone said and say, hey, you know what? Everything is your fault. Everything that's happened to you, everything you got to take ownership of everything. And I think
Right.
that's when healing what can be done because like you said you were married two times to abusers. You probably had other relationships before that, but obviously none of us didn't take part of any of those relationships. So obviously you had to say one morning you had to wake up or say, you know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired and I need help. Is
Right.
that how it went?
Yes. Yes. Because when I found out again, because I divorced the second husband because of the affair, only to start dating him again and remarry him to find out within 3 months that the affair never ever stopped. No idea why he even wanted to get married, but anyway. And so as soon as I found that out, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm done. I am so done. And then that's when I found, Dr. Doug Weiss, and got, in on the recovery and the 12 steps. And that's why I say they saved my life, because a month before that, I was ending my life. So I am here by the grace of God because he sent my mom through my back door.
All right, so I want to dig really deep in a second because they call me the GI Joe Rogan. They call me the male Oprah because I like to go deep and get emotional. But I want to thank our
Exactly.
sponsors. As you guys know, I honor the females that are in my life. My wife is my best friend, my bride. She's my everything. My cousin Andrea, she has a great service down below, as you'll see it down below. E&A's Friendly Service here in New Jersey.
Wow.
Her and her husband Ernie, they own a gas station and they fix cars. And a lot of people, my dad said when he came over from Italy, you need a good mechanic, a good lawyer, a good doctor. So they're the best mechanics that I know. And when they do the job, they do it right the first time. So guys, they've been
Good.
in business 33 years. You don't stay
Wow.
in business for 33 years if they don't do a great job.
Right.
So down
Wow.
below, if you're in Bergen County and you need your car fixed, check them out down below. Also, if you're in Bergen County, obviously you see I like to eat. I love Italian food. I come from an Italian family. My friend Julia has a company called Muriel's Trattoria, homemade Italian food, and her mom literally came off the boat from Italy. So she makes everything handmade. And the best part, it's made with love. So, guys, if you're in Bergen County and you go getting your car fixed, you might as well get some Italian food. Check out their at Muriel's Italian Trattoria. Thank you, ladies. I love you guys. So now let me ask you a question because I have somebody very special in my life, and her husband has stepped out on her multiple times, and has other things going on, trust issues and money issues, and but might not be ready to take that step to go out on her own because um, he's the only man that she's ever known or loved. And I think it's the fear of the unknown. It's kind of like I'm not afraid of the Godzilla that I do know. I'm afraid of the one that I don't know.
Don't know.
So talk to us about that. Talk to us about the day when you said, you know what? I'm sick and tired and sick and tired. And then tell us what your first steps were to freedom.
Yeah, well, and it was the 7th time I had landed back in my life, and God said, "Get off the circus wheel." And so, well, I had been a little bit on my own from being divorced, the first time, and then the first time from the ex-husband. But I had never been alone in my life because I went from my mom and dad's house into a marriage because I had married this gentleman, the first husband, who was Italian, right out of high school. And so I was afraid, like, oh my gosh, I've never been alone, never been alone. But I knew that I was so important that I didn't need to hurt anymore. I was tired of being hurt. And, with this group, because I co-led and I also had the group within my home. But if women still want to stay in that marriage, they can still work on themselves. And sometimes that's the best way to get out, is because you work on yourself and you find out who you are, and then you become strong. And then you start realizing more that, oh, I can do this. And so you can go out. Some women never ever want to work on themselves just because they've been so beat up, and the thought of going through that pain through the work scares them to death, and that's okay. It's sad, but it's okay, whatever we choose to do, right? But for me, I was done. I was just so done being hurt because with someone that's a sex addict, intimacy anorexic narcissist, they also do the gaslighting. So I was blamed for every action that he did. It was not my fault. He's responsible for his own actions. I'm responsible for my actions and my reactions. We are each responsible for our own.
So
And
if
I was
somebody doesn't know what
being
you're talking
blamed.
about, what do you mean by gaslighting?
you get blamed for their actions. He comes home late. And so you say, well, where you promised that you'd be home such and such a time. Well, I didn't promise such a thing. Well, you're making up stories, or, why are you always doubting me? Why don't you believe me? Why don't you trust me? I told you I would be here, and and that's gaslighting. No, I'm not the blame for what you did. If you can't be honest with me and tell me the truth, then you're lying to me. And if you get angry because I ask you a question, then you're guilty. So I went through that so many times. And you said, you have a brain injury. Well, I have a brain tumor, a very large brain tumor that I carry around in my head every day. And so when he would start coming back to me and saying, well, why don't you believe me? Why don't you trust me? And stuff. And I thought I was the one that was going crazy. I'm like, am I imagining things or whatever? And I would start I was so angry, and I'd start beating myself on the head. And he goes, oh, there you go. Why don't you just beat yourself on the head? Like you don't have any head issues already. And, it was just things like that. And I'm like, you don't even care. You have no sympathy, no care. And that's that narcissism in them. So, and he was just covering up his guilt to the nth degree. And I had to learn that it had nothing to do with me. It didn't matter how skinny I was, how heavy I was, how ugly I was, how beautiful I was, or anything like that. He was making the choices. It had nothing to do with me. That was the biggest thing that I had to learn. It was not me. It was his choices.
Now, because this is amazing, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. I'm truly humbled and grateful that you're here with me today, because there's a lot of people out there hurt, and there's a lot of people, they're struggling today. And like for guys, like I was in the military for 23 years, and we're losing, I think, up to 35 first responders every day to suicide, because
Yep.
for guys and for girls in the military, it's, well, you need to man up. And saying you need to man up is killing thousands of people every year. And not
Yep.
only that, but in my town, I'm in charge of the DARE program, or it used to be called DARE. Now it's LEAD.
Right.
And 5,000 adolescents attempt suicide every day in the United States because they
gosh.
don't say, I need help. And I think if we could just tell us, I'm struggling today. That's what I loved about going to the AAs. I went to the NA, I went to every single A there was. And I liked it because I could put my hand up and say, you know what, guys or girls, I'm today.
Yep.
I need help. And I was able to humble myself and get as much help as I can. And I think if we start being a little bit more humble and say, you know what, I need help. I'm struggling today. And I'll do that on my Facebook page, even though I got hundreds of thousands of friends. If I'm having a bad day, I'm gonna be like, guys, I'm struggling today.
Yep.
And so people know that anybody can struggle. Even if you're a best-selling author, top podcast, it doesn't matter. We all struggle. So talk to us a little bit about having to humble ourselves and say, I need help.
Well, you know what, Richard, yesterday on Facebook, there was a lady that I've been in touch with, and her grandson was born, and I don't think that he was doing very well. But anyway, I have no idea what it was, but she put on there yesterday that she needed a hug and she needed love. And I tell you what, to see all of the people that responded to her, but what a brave woman, right? She reached out and she said she needed help. And that does take humbling. That takes strength. And that's knowing that, like, you're looking at the tunnel, right? And it's as dark can be. I've been there. There was no light anywhere. And I can understand what people say. I was at the end of the end. There was no light, and I kept saying, God, where are you? You left me. You've left me. I see no light. Where are you? And I was done. Done. And like I said, only by the grace of God did my mother walk through the back door, because she still had a key to my home.
Now, wait a minute, because you said that you and your mother had issues, like me and my mother have issues. So how did she come walking back into your life, and how did she make that big impact?
Well, she had come and taken care of me probably about a month before, because of the fact that I had to have back surgery and I was all by myself. And so the back surgery I had, I couldn't bend over. All I could do was squat down, or, couldn't carry anything, that type of stuff. And there's other things that led to the day of me saying I was so done. But she's been a part of my life. It's not a closeness like, you hear people talk about how close they're to their mom or to their dad. I'm very, very close to my dad. Very, very close. That's my go-to. My dad's always been there for me. So when I was wanting to say I was done, I just called the ex-husband and I said, please take care of our granddaughter, because we had to raise our oldest granddaughter together. And I think that he must have called my mother or texted her or something. She just happened to be a couple blocks away at the church. And so she came right over and walked in the back door. And I'm here today because of that reason. So the biggest reason is God. God knew he wasn't done with me. He wasn't going to let me go. So, but to be vulnerable and to say that we need help, oh my goodness. And instead of telling our military or our men to suck it up, or even women, because I've been told that too, get over it. You can't get over it. No, be there for them. If somebody says they need just an ear, sit there and listen. You don't have to give them advice. You don't have to, talk to them. They want an ear. They want someone to just listen to them, because they're at a point where they want to pour their heart out, right? So the biggest thing is start listening to people and quit giving advice, quit giving, and sometimes I do the exact same thing, but I need to listen to what people want. I need to listen to them. That's the biggest thing sometimes that I need, somebody just to listen to me. I live here by myself, most of the time. I don't hang out with friends or anything like that. And so to be with someone, it's like, I just want to talk to you, or I'll say, talk to me, because I don't hear human voices. And so we just need to listen to one another.
And I agree. Now, I have a 12-step program, a 12-week program that I teach. It's called Healing. Forgiveness is Healing. And of course, I took it from the 12-step program. And the first thing is, like the program teaches us, we have to ask for forgiveness for all the people that we've hurt, because hurt people. And it just,
That's right.
and if we want to stop the generational curses, we have to say, you know what? I'm sorry. If I can make it up, I will, but please ask for forgiveness. But second thing, we have to forgive all those that hurt us. And that's a big one.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it doesn't have to be a husband or a wife. It could be the parents that have abused us. And then you have to go, say, I forgive you. But the third thing is, I think the most hardest, especially in the veteran first responder community, is forgiving ourselves, because veterans and first responders see and do stuff that should never be seen or done. A lot of us carry that guilt.
Yeah.
So talk to us about the healing powers of forgiveness.
Oh, for me, it was huge. And, of course, growing up, knowing who God is, I know that we can't hold those grudges against people. We have to be willing to forgive. It may take a long time to forgive, but it's a choice. I think that is first and foremost. If God can forgive us for everything that we've done or everything that we will do in our life, how can we not forgive someone? But it is a choice, right? You choose to forgive. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen instantly overnight. There's still many times I will get triggered by something and I will just have to forgive the ex-husband or the grandkids or the kids or parents or whomever. I mean, even the bullies from elementary school, right? If that comes to mind, I'll just have to forgive them again. And that's healing for me. It has nothing to do with them except for the fact that this is how I believe, when I forgive them, I give them over to God. I'm out of the way. Then God can work with them. But for me, forgiveness is my relationship with God. That's saying, God, I'm not any better than you. I mean, you can forgive me, but I can't forgive these other people. No, I have to
Okay.
be humble and say, I can forgive these people because I need the healing within myself.
Then let's break it down a little bit more, because a lot of people, they might still be in a marriage where they're trying to work it out, but they can't forgive. Or they might be somebody like in my position where my mother was my abuser, and now I'm taking care of her as she gets older. So how do you forgive but not forget if they're still in your life and still in your inner circle?
Wow. My heart goes to you, Richard. It reminds me of Joyce Myers, because she talks about that, how she had to take care of her mom and her dad was her abuser, and her mom allowed it just to happen. So my heart goes out to you. And um, I think that we still just have to choose, no matter whether they are with us or not with us. It's a choice. So even if a person is not a believer, forgiveness is just healing on the inside because you're letting go of that anger. You're letting go of that bitterness. You're letting go of that hurt, and you're giving it away, saying, it's not going to affect me anymore. Our memories are going to keep things forever, right? But our heart is able to give it away. Our mind, I think, is the remembrance, I think, is for a learning process. This is how I think about it, because I can learn from what happened. I can make the boundaries to keep myself safer, or I can be stronger and tell someone. I don't know. I've not been in your shoes, but forgiveness to me was just so big in the fact that it was about me. We learned that in our 12 steps, that we have, like, step 1, we have to learn that we're powerless, right? And our life has just become so you know unmanageable, and so we have to tell others. And um it's just, for me, it's just letting go, releasing that. It kind of reminds me of driving a pickup truck, is what I can think of, is because the windshield is so big, right? And so we can look forward and we can see so much more. We look in that little rearview mirror and we see just a little bit. And if we can look at our life that way, there's so much more in front of us than what was behind us. Yes, we'll always be able to look in that rearview mirror and see, but there's so much more out there. And then again, if we choose to become healthier, if we choose for our heart to receive healing, if we choose for our mind to receive healing, it's all a choice. Everything, every day, is a choice. We can choose yes, or we can choose no. We can choose unhealthy or healthy, to move forward or to stay where we are. And I know if people stay where they are, it's not going to be healthy. When you start moving forward, then it becomes healthy.
Okay, so now for the last couple of minutes, somebody comes, sits down in front of you. She's sitting in front of you right now. She says, "We want to work on our marriage. We've been married for so long, um, but I still don't trust, and I'm still going through PTSD because of some of the things. So, what would be some of the steps, the first steps that you would tell her to start getting healthy for herself or his self, because it goes both ways.
Well, I would first tell her that she is so worth working on just herself, because sick and, like you said, sick and sick make sick. So absolutely that marriage is going to be sick. And so even if she just begins to work on herself and she finds out who she is, how phenomenal she is, how wonderful she is, how beautiful she is, and how strong she is, and she's going to be able to walk a different walk. Not that, I mean, in putting up the boundaries, she's going to begin to say, no, you can't treat me this way. If you treat me this way, then you need to leave for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever. And when you can be decent, then you can come back or whatever. But when she begins to herself and she learns that the actions of the husband have nothing to do with her, because that is on him, but the way that she reacts to every situation is hers and her choice, she's going to become a lot stronger. So if she chooses to stay there, then I believe that she can probably make those boundaries and that she could stick to them. And no matter what he does or doesn't do, she's still going to be okay,
I
because
love
she's
it.
a
So now,
strong woman.
I love it. So now tell us about your books, tell us about your podcast, and tell us how we can get in touch with you and how you can inspire us.
Well, because we're talking about the 12 steps in women, this is the Healing Broken Women. This is the one I wrote, with some of my story in there. And it's about the 12 steps. The 12 steps are in here, what the 12 steps mean, how I went through the 12 steps. And this is my ministry, Healing Broken Women, Healing Hearts. That is my TV show, Healing Hearts. That's my group on Facebook, Healing Hearts, which is just for women only. And it's amazing to see how the women encourage each other in that group. It is also what God gave me the name for my conferences that I hold in the one coming up in December in Colorado Springs is the Healing Conference. And so it's all about healing, because like we had talked earlier today, it's everyone has a need for healing in some way. So you can find me at TonniLea.com, TonniLea.com, TonniLeeTV@gmail.com. And I'm all over Facebook and LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. Yep, all of that.
And I'm following you everywhere I start. So I'm consuming everything because I want to learn to be a better husband. And what better way to learn to be a better husband is from a female's perspective.
Oh, that's good.
So,
That's,
and
yeah,
for
right?
guys that are listening, also if you, I tell everybody, you and your woman have two different love languages.
Yep.
For me, I don't fix shit. I break shit. I always break shit. But my wife, she likes flowers. She likes going on trips.
Gifts.
She likes going to Broadway shows. That's not my thing, but that's her language. So that's why she gets flowers every week just because it's a Tuesday. Or we go out and do things because I want to speak her love language. So guys, make sure that you're learning and studying. I study my wife. I study my best friend. I try to make her happy. I try to anticipate her needs. So, guys, if you get a chance, make sure you're studying your spouse and not just living with your spouse.
That's right.
So, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. And, guys, make sure you check out her LinkedIn profile. Awesome LinkedIn profile. I was all over today. So, make sure you
Thank
check out her
you.
show, follow her, make sure that you're following her, because some people say happy wife, happy life. I say happy spouse, happy house. So,
Oh, that's good.
so thank you so much for coming on today, and I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Richard. I appreciate you.
I love it. And I'm gonna order that book and I'm gonna get that sent out to that person in my life. But guys,
Oh,
as you know, I'm a big Joel Osteen guy, and my T-shirt says "Today I Decide." And the reason why a T-shirt says it is because he says that it's our choice to be the victim or the victor.
that's right.
So guys, make sure that you make the choice to be the victim, the victor, and no longer play the victim game.
Mm-mm. That's right.
Guys, if you love what we're doing, check us out at verticalmomentumpodcast.com. We have t-shirts, hats, swag, coffee, and 100% of the proceeds go to help people struggling with PTSD and mental health issues. So, guys, I love you. Thank you so much for being part of VM Nation. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much and have a great week.
Yes.